Hey classmates, I thought it might be appropriate to start the video showing that everything's all set up. I've got my nice little area. I've got my he or she here that we shall soon find out. Alright, so first we're going to identify the head, the trunk, the appendages, and the tail. So here we have the head of our little fetal pig, who is cold because I've kept him in my office. We have the trunk of the body from my finger to about right here. We've got the tail, which is very little, and our 4 appendages that look like they have toenails. Next, we're going to identify the ears, mouth, nose, and nostrils. So we have here this ear, the other ear. We've got our mouth, which is not quite that far open. I can feel teeth though. We have its nose, and then its nostrils that look like something is coming out of them. Next, we have the 4 hooves again, and the appendages on the trunk. Alright guys, our next step is to identify the hooves and the 4 appendages on the trunk, which we've got each 4 hoof right here. It has some stringy stuff on there. Each 4 seem to be totally normal from the baby pig that I owned myself. And next we've got the 4 appendages on the trunk, which are each 4 of its legs. Right here, very tiny and very stiff. But everything looks pretty normal. And then we've got our umbilical cord. So I'm going to quickly add on, since I have this secured properly, our 4 hooves right here, and the 4 appendages to the trunk right here. And so we can clearly see the umbilical cord in the video, which there's not much left to it. And then also the mammillary papillae. I guarantee you I did not pronounce that right. It's really hard to see in the video because they're actually really tiny. They start right here. I have to really pull the skin to see them. There's another right here, down here, one more down here. On this side we start at the same spot up here, go down right here, another one right here by the umbilical cord, and our last one down here. They are really hard to see. They're not sticking out at all like I would have imagined. So next we have identifying the anus, which is, without me pointing to it, I think clearly obvious right there. We've got the genital papilla, or scrotum if male, and I believe this guy is a male based on the 2 bulges down here that are probably hard to see via computer camera. But the urogenital opening, which is a big giveaway, the hole right here, trying to see if that can be totally shown, indicates that this is a male fetal pig, not a female. Another indicator would be the female items missing back here that we've read about prior to doing this lab. Alright, now we're on to the fun stuff here. I'm going to start dissecting. I feel we reached the jaw. Which I believe we have. Alright, what we have now is our boy, we know, which we're going to identify his papilla or papilla. I probably said that wrong. That I am pointing to right here on the end of the tongue, which is the next thing we will identify. The tongue. Very long. It's not wanting to come apart there at the bottom. And we can see clearly, let me change my view here. Maybe this way. We've got the hard palate up here, which I can tell by looking at my computer you cannot see. The hard palate up here with the rivets. And rubbing this on sounds extremely hard. And the soft palate, I'm going to try my best to get on video. It's right here, the base of the tongue and the hard palate. And it's very squishy and moist. Before we move on to the next one, I do want to be sure to point out the baby teeth, because this guy definitely has them. I can feel them every time I've touched his mouth. We've got, let's try to show you a good view here. We've got two right here. We have another two on this side, and looks like maybe one developing right there. It's hard to touch, and that's the bottom. And there are two on the top, which might be really hard to see, but there are two on each side of the top. So before we move on, I wanted to show that. Next we have the Epilophagus and the Galapagos, which I had to pause for a second because I did not cut Mr. Piggy enough to view that. So we have here the Epilophagus that almost looks like a very small macaroni noodle that is covering the Galapagos that is inside, which is going to be probably so hard to see on video, as it's hard for me to see myself here in person. But underneath the soft palate, is your Epilophagus, which contains your Galapagos right there. All right, so we have opened him up, and I have not cut deep enough. It's kind of a little bit scary. But we have, I will view for you while trying to make sure I see it on camera, is the umbilical vein right here. I'm hoping that this is seen. Right here underneath or above the bottom of my scalpel. Directly below that is the abdominal cavity. So lastly here tonight, we're going to identify the abdominal cavity, which you can see right here. We're going to identify the diaphragm, which with my finger showing right here above the liver, which looks really nice for this little guy. And then lastly, the umbilical vein, which above the end tip of my scalpel, bottom side of my scalpel, connected is the umbilical vein.